Today's Sunday session is brought to you thanks to the fine folks at More Beer. Visit them right now at morebeer.com.
If you really want to be one of the best brewers there is,
I stopped dressing all in plastic.
You better be brewing 5 to 6 times a week.
Every beer is made with love, and it begs to be appreciated.
I need something to kill the salmonella I'm kind of worried about in the eggs.
Do you find that that the hops kind of clash with the chicken embryo you put in there?
I might sleep here tonight.
It's a California King. There's plenty of room for both of us, Beavis.
How many of the brewers over there have seen your ass?
That's it. Someone's getting cut tonight.
All I have to say is, hey, McDowell, how you doing?
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to The Session. My name's Justin Crosley. I'm your host tonight. And most nights lately, so that's kind of good. But we've had a lot of good shows in here, so I'm excited. Like, for example, Russian River's coming on in a couple weeks.
I'm all excited about that.
Haven't had them back in a little while. And this time, Natalie Chalerzo will be visiting us along with Vinny. So it should make for a good interview. And tonight, I'm excited about this one, too, because we've got Speakeasy Ales and Lagers on the show.
Whoa.
And those of you who are in the know that they kind of went bankrupt, I think, a little while back.
Yeah, they came out of the ashes.
Yeah, but they got revived, and they're back, and so we're going to be talking to them tonight, drinking some of their beer. We've got their beer on tap here at the Hop Grenade, if you ever want to come down and join the shows. We put the schedule of shows on our website. Bevo keeps that up to date, so you can always choose if you want to come out and hang out with us here and have some beer. We try to get most guests' beer on tap, assuming that they distribute in California is kind of the deal. But most of them
and
do.
Sometimes when they don't.
Yeah, sometimes they ship us beer.
Yeah, every now and then that happens.
Not for the general consumption, though. It would be kind of rare.
Yeah, exactly. It has happened before we found little loopholes to get beer on that way, too. But, come on out to the Hop Grenade if you ever want to see a show. Yeah. So lots going on tonight, including the absence of JP because...
Dun, 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 dun.
He had his baby.
All right.
Well, Taryn had his baby.
Taryn had his baby, yeah.
And did he pass out? You don't know the details.
I don't have the details. I just got a message from him yesterday that he wasn't going to make it into the show. Oh. So I told him, well, no pay for a month, and you're grounded.
Consider this a no call, no show.
Yeah. Like I didn't get
warning.
Not enough notice.
Yeah.
Next time, tell Taryn to figure it out.
Right.
It was early, right? I expected it.
I believe 2 weeks early.
Yeah, she's 2 weeks early.
Because according to, our listeners know as much as me because the only conversations I've had have been on the air.
Yeah, it's all recorded.
But I thought it was right around the date of our Spring Brews Festival.
Week before that.
Sometime at like 23rd, 24th.
Yeah, but I guess she went into labor, I don't know, Sunday morning or late Saturday night or something?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's exciting for them, and I guess everybody is healthy and happy. I did see a picture of the baby, but I'm not ready to give my assessment about whether or not it's an ugly baby.
He hasn't asked yet.
They're the same color.
He hasn't asked yet, and the baby was all like covered in schmeg and stuff. Like I don't know why he sent me that photo, but I was like, well,
I see some porn where people are covered in stuff, but never looked good on a baby.
Right, exactly. Alice, I believe, is her name.
Yes.
So he had a girl. Nice. And the funny thing is, he was in here talking about how it can't be a Disney name, but Alice is pretty Disney.
Mm-hmm.
So
Alice in Wonderland is Taryn's favorite Disney movie.
Okay,
it's 100% a Disney baby.
So can I just say that's another moment where JP is completely full of shit about the things he says he'll never do. Like, for example, I'll never get married.
That's right.
Example number 2, I will never have a baby. Yeah. Example number 3, and it just happened a week ago, we cannot name the baby after something from Disneyland.
Well, really, it just points to Taryn gets what she wants.
Right. Yeah, I guess
he
right.
could still also be just as adamant about all of those things.
You're right. I guess I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah, he's not lying. He's just a victim.
He's just stuck.
He gets to come here, say what he wants.
Right.
And then goes home and does what she wants.
Well, and funnily enough, often when he's here saying what he wants, I think Taryn is usually texts Bevo and is like, well, that's bullshit. That's not how it happened.
Oftentimes she's like, yeah, no, he's stupid. That's not what's happening.
Yeah.
Real-time fact-checking, huh? I like that.
Exactly. But I'm happy for them, and I'm happy everybody's healthy, and a new chapter in one of the Brewing Network people's life, right?
Event.
I'm going to go see her after the show.
You are?
Good for you. Wow.
Okay. Like life-changing for the better for him, Tasty? What do you think?
Absolutely.
Okay,
God,
good.
yeah.
Good. That's good. I think he's the perfect guy to have a kid. He's gonna be a great dad, and like I've always said, now he has an excuse that no one can complain about for staying at home, which is really what he wants to do anyway. I predict he'll say, I can do the shows for the next, 3 years. I just have to do them from home. I'll have to call in.
Right. This whole building a studio at home thing was a long con.
Is that an option? Because I've thought about that so many times.
No, not for you, B. Not for you. We need one good-looking person in the room.
One good-looking people.
Behind glass.
Yeah.
Behind glass.
Not amongst all of us ruffians.
Exactly. That's why I built you your own little cage.
With a lock, which I appreciate.
Which is not to keep you, it's to protect you from us. So, yeah. Well, so congrats to JP.
Yeah.
Those of you fans that he hasn't blocked on Facebook or whatever, you can go leave him a message there and give your well wishes to Alice and JP and Taryn.
Little AP.
Yeah, that's right. Little Alice Petros.
Which stands for annual pass.
Oh, boy, there's probably going to be so many ties that we can come up with, or that JP already came up with, really.
Yeah, I feel like John Mayer wrote a song about her.
I don't get that one.
Her body is a wonderland.
I get it.
Warren, that was terrible.
Yeah.
You're on timeout.
Well, she's too young to understand what that means anyway.
Which means you're too old to make that joke.
Right. Good call. Okay. I was driving the bunker this weekend. The old the old BNRV.
Yeah, sure.
Man, he's slowly falling apart.
Still slowly?
Actually, it might be increasing in speed. I was driving home, and I was on the freeway interchange. Those of you locals here will know it's like from 680 to Highway 4. Kind of a messy little interchange. But anyway, it's also the road's like really rough there. There's potholes and stuff. I jump on Highway 4. I was almost all the way home from my weekend trip and hit a pothole or something. The entire side window at the dining room table exploded. Like it just shattered out of nowhere. So I think she's getting real old now and decrepit. Like the windows are now too sun-beaten and dry. And the bump made the because nothing hit it. I mean, I'm not talking about my windshield here. It's a side window. I wasn't going that fast because I was just making the merge onto the freeway. Hit a bump and it just exploded.
The whole body must have twisted.
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm thinking. You can see if you look at the bunker. It's kind of sagging in places it shouldn't be, and
it's not as bomb-proof as it once was.
Yeah, so
I've heard people have filed claims against the state for damages, and they've got awards.
You don't have time for that in your life.
Yeah,
don't try.
That's true.
What does you delegate that?
I'm not paid enough to do that.
That's two people in that time.
And nothing else. I think insurance should cover the window, except for whatever my deductible is. But I already looked up a new window. They're like $800. You can't just it's not like a windshield where they come put it in. I have to pull out the whole frame. Yeah. Guess what you're helping me do this weekend, Beardy? I have to pull out the whole frame of the thing and put. Anyway, but I don't know, man. So last week the reason I bring this up is I'm talking about doing this BN road trip, headed up to Portland, and then keep on going. Well,
giving it a road check. Yeah.
I don't know if she's going to make it, man.
Yeah, doesn't help the confidence bank.
No,
otherwise,
and it's raining
right now.
How
did you? Did it run okay and start?
Well, it still runs great. The heater seems to be going out. The propane tank might be leaking.
Small fire hazard.
And then now
Don't
the
you
windows.
replace the propane tanks, though? Aren't they interchangeable? Aren't they just...
Well, that's a whole
propane
project,
tanks?
too. I think I just have to replace the valve, the fill valve is all I have to do. But I'm concerned it's going to start nickel and diming me. I got this great deal on it from Jamal.
RVs just do that from the get-go. You know that.
You're right, but there are things in my life that I'm very lucky at. And not all of them, but some of them. And I've been very lucky with these sort of things. And Jamil sold it to me for a song. So it's had its life, both before me and with me. I don't know about this whole trip thing. Like, now I'm really concerned. So I got to figure that out.
Well, at least you're sitting in the front, so when the whole body slides off the back, you'll still be in the van front.
You're right, because it's a Class C, so it's totally disconnected.
Right,
really.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
You'll just have a chassis driving behind you.
And the chassis is what's in solid shape on the thing. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
And it's raining right now. Do you have some cardboard or?
Well, of course, that's the other thing.
I
I taped up the window with like a garbage bag.
Okay.
Yes.
Classy.
Yeah.
Classic black.
Yeah, it's black. I mean, it's just sitting in a lot anyway. I had to. I got, it happened 5 minutes from dropping the thing off at the lot. So I covered it up. I looked into the window already. I think I got to replace the window. But then, I don't know, maybe I got to sell the bunker and look for something else. It's a whole thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who can afford an RV nowadays? You seen these things?
Oh, yeah,
does Jamel have another RV he can sell you?
I know. I got to call him.
Did you buy something smaller he's tired of?
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, I'll keep you up to date on the trip. It depends on what's going on with the RV. I don't know. The leaking can't be stopped. Like, forget about listen, even the wide open window right now probably leaks less than the rest of the RV. So that's another thing. Like, traveling up and down California in the summer, not a big deal. It doesn't rain here. We're in a drought perpetually. But once I hit about the middle of the country,
rain every day,
or forget the Pacific Northwest, even once I get up to Portland, I don't know.
Well, as long as it just leaks around you and not on you when you're laying in your bed.
Well, that's another thing I'm really lucky about. It does just sort of leak into the walls.
Oh, good. So
and not into the RV,
right?
Which is why it's sort of misshapen and buckled
and saggy.
It's really flexible when it hits the bump. I see.
And I'm just nervous because even if I do find another RV, that I could the BN can afford. What kind of shape is that thing going to be in? Let's be honest.
Slightly more solid shape than the current bunker.
That's about the best I could hope for. I know you're being sarcastic, but that's a true statement.
Yeah.
That's about the best I think we could hope for.
With all the windows.
With the windows.
Yeah.
And it would have to be an RV, not just like a travel trailer, because you don't have anything to pull it with.
Exactly. The Volkswagen's not going to pull anything.
Oh, please. The Volkswagen barely pulls itself.
I mean, I guess that's my side option, is I could just do the country trip in the V-dub. There's just a lot less showers and cleansing that happens with that, which that doesn't bother me.
Well, there are rivers and streams for that.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
And also, how often are you really showering?
Right, that's what I'm saying. But if I'm going to be out on the road doing interviews and videos and stuff, people around me might want that.
You just need to master the hooker shower.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I'll keep you up to date because I want to do that trip, at least to NHC. I mean, come on. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Speaking of NHC, you can get your tickets right now. Go to homebrewcon.org, and you can register now. It's June 28th through 30th. It's actually called HomebrewCon now, not NHC. We're old dogs here. Can't learn these new tricks. But go to HomebrewCon. We're going to be there. I am working on our anniversary party this year, as I've said on the show. I got to get through Springfest here, which is also coming up. And as soon as I do that,
So reserve the date. It'll be that Wednesday before the.
Or is it the Saturday?
It might be the Saturday.
Oh, fine.
The last time I talked to Gary, it looked like the Saturday might be a good thing because I think
we did in Minneapolis, didn't we?
It is, and we did it one time. And I think they're keeping their format now where they don't do the big grand banquet awards dinner. So they do the awards kind of early afternoon. Yeah. Then you go to this kind of big party.
Knockout party, they call it.
The knockout party that has all of the beers that had been entered.
Yeah, those are all available.
All that made it to the second round, so presumably, most of them pretty decent beers. And you get to go taste that for a couple hours, and then you're free for the evening. And so I'm pretty sure we're going to do our thing on that Saturday night.
Yeah. Looking pregame at the knockout party and then head over to the BN party.
Exactly. Which will be small, by the way. Whatever I figure out, it's going to be small.
It'll be some venue or something.
Yeah, 500 or 600 people max.
Small.
That is small for us. We were doing a lot more than that, but now it's too much. Plus, you all wait too long, and then you complain, and it's 500 of you are happy people. I found that. If you, of our listeners, 500 of them are always happy. Those are my people.
Yeah.
So if we do that size party, it just works out great for everybody.
Now you just need to figure out how to sell tickets only to them.
I know, yeah. You should have to go through a questionnaire. That's kind of like a trick. Like you don't even know the questions, what they mean. You know, it's like
little psych eval.
Yeah, exactly. That helps me decide if you're a valuable person in my life.
Cool.
He's getting old.
Yeah. All right. As I mentioned, though, Spring Brews Fest is coming up. You can go to thebrewingnetwork.com right now and get your tickets. By the way, these announcements are brought to you by Drake's Brewing Company, a sponsor of Spring Brews Fest. They're going to bring you the festival stage, where we've got two great bands playing for you. Go to drinkdrakes.com and check them out. And thank them for their support at the BN, too, if you would, please. Go to thebrewingnetwork.com, get your tickets. Ticket sales are doing all right, so I'd recommend getting them early. There is a chance we could sell out. It's looking pretty good, actually. So go to thebrewingnetwork.com now and get your tickets. And there's hotels around if you're from out of the area. Concord's a place.
Yeah, a lot going on.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
No, it's a great place. So you can come on out and hang out with us. It's, March 31st? Saturday, March 31st. Yep. Tasty's Tasting Room is back.
In full force, yeah.
Got an email, semi-passive aggressive, but it was, for you it was nice. It was about Tasty's Tasting Room, and it basically said, "Hey, we've been coming to Spring, the beer fest for years, and we're really disappointed last year that you didn't have homebrew."
Sure. A lot of people.
Said you didn't have homebrew, and then this is where it got a little, it was my fault. Of course, not everybody knows the story, so I get it. And it was like, so whether or not there will be homebrew this year it will be the deciding factor if we go.
Oh, all right.
So of course I wrote back, hey, I too was disappointed, and it's not my fault that the county couldn't figure out how to read laws.
That's right.
But lo and behold, this year they did figure out how to read laws, and now Tasty's Tasting Room is back.
Order your tickets.
Yeah, so that'll be a good time. That's brought to you by White Labs, by the way. White Labs will be bringing you Tasty's Tasting Room this year, so you might end up with some free swag in your hand.
And they'll be hanging with us, so come out and talk to them.
Yeah, they're going to pour their own beer, and then they're going to be hanging at the Tasty's tent.
Yeah.
So thank White Labs for bringing that to you guys this year, too. Okay. We got different shirts and stuff on sale. We got Sour Hour shirts. We got a couple new BN designs. Go check them out, and we'll keep rotating those throughout the year. So update your swag there. You can support us by doing your Amazon shopping. Just click the Amazon link on our homepage. You can do that whether you're in the UK or the US. So there's a link for both of you. And, you just shop as usual, and it helps us out. So that'd be great. Also, you could subscribe and join the BN Army. It enters you into the More Beer monthly donation giveaway, which is a chance to win $100. Every month they give away $100 that you can spend over at More Beer. And, we love them for that. By the way, they're the sponsor of this show and have been for the entire time since the very first broadcast we've ever done. So that's going on 13 years. I don't know how they put up with us, but they do.
Thank you.
And we love them for it. And let's see here. I got to let you know something about them. Yeah. And here we go.
I got my bottles and caps for my World Beer Cup submissions at More Beer.
Oh, is that right?
Just a couple days ago, yeah.
Still using them as a professional.
Exactly.
Very nice. Yeah, for years, the folks at More Beer have been leading the charge when it comes to cool and unique homebrewing equipment, like the Robo Brew, the easiest way to brew all grain. Made from stainless steel, the Robo Brew allows you to make 9 gallons of beer all in one vessel. It's truly self-contained. So if you're thinking about getting into all grain brewing, you should check it out. Or up your fermentation game with the all-new Fermentosaurus Plastic Conical. It has a 9-gallon capacity, a stainless steel stand, a sturdy butterfly dump valve at the bottom, and the best part is it'll hold up to 35 psi. Check out these awesome innovations and more over at morebeer.com. Well, we don't have JP here, so there's no Twitter game, is there?
No. Ooh, what are
the listeners going to do?
Empty spot here.
I don't think there's any feedback either. I didn't think about this. Wow. I've never actually missed JP before.
Yeah.
It's always been like, well, he's here, he's not here.
Wow.
And now I'm like, wow, he does the things.
He does things.
I thought he sent you the feedback beforehand.
He does. But by beforehand, I mean, let's face it, he's still a procrastinator. So beforehand is like an hour before
this
the show.
afternoon. Okay.
But
Who isn't, you know?
So,
yeah.
Okay, well.
I have a question about feedback.
Yeah.
Does all of the feedback for every show come to that email address?
Well,
or do we get feedback on any other shows?
So every show has its own contact form on the webpage, and you can send feedback to individual shows with that. The only show that doesn't have a direct contact is this one, and that's because that one is feedback.
Okay, that was my question.
I think that's what the website says anyway. We should probably look.
Anyway, it's all right there.
Right. You're the producer, Biwa. Go over there and look.
I can't. My computer will explode or something.
Okay. Let me see what we have here. I'm pretty sure I have one for every show.
Because I've heard Scott read feedback on the Sour Hour, but I didn't know if that came here and then got forwarded to him.
Right. So on the contact page, it actually says both. Wow, I even thought that out. It says the session-feedback. And then there's one for Brew Strong, Brewing with Style, Dr. Homebrew, and the Sour Hour. And I have to add a contact page for Heads and Tails.
Oh, yeah.
Our new show.
I actually got an email direct about Heads and Tails. So someone must have been creeping around on the internet to find out my email.
Found your
address.
beardy?
Yeah. I guess it's not that secret.
Beardy? At the BrewingNetwork.com.
Not that complicated.
That's so secret.
Yeah.
It's like a password.
Don't tell anybody.
Well, the Twitter game would have been brought to you by our friends over at craftbeer.com. Dedicated to telling the stories behind America's small and independent breweries. Meet the men and women behind America's beer renaissance. Visit craftbeer.com. And, of course, if we were doing feedback, that would have been brought to you by the Beer Law Center, our friend John, who, by the way, told you last week was already working on a new thing for me.
Oh, right.
Oh, he's getting it licked. That boy's taking care of things. Go to beerlawcenter.com and check it out. He got all of their pages pulled down already. They weren't responding. He sent the nice email like he always does. He's a nice guy. You know, you don't have to worry about him being that... I mean, listen, he'll get dirty if he has to. But you don't have to worry about him sending that, full-on legalese. I'm just another asshole in the... He understands the beer industry.
He's got all the arrows in his quiver. He's got it all. He can do it all.
He always takes a polite approach and just says, you could often expect to hear like, hey, I think we just might have a little issue here. We should probably talk about it, Well, he did all that with these people with the clothing brand that I said was all over the place.
Right.
And, I let John know about it. He waited a couple days for a response and then... go around looking for their stuff, and it's nowhere to be found.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
are you getting boxes sent to you yet?
Well, they still haven't responded, so don't think that our boy John's going to give up there. He's going to go still try to find out where they are, how to get in contact with them, what's up with this merchandise. He'll be on it still, but at least they're no longer promoting on the social medias and all that stuff.
How are they going to sell their product?
Yeah. Luckily, because of a listener, we caught them before I think their online store was even up.
It's a great advantage to have all the listeners out there looking at for this.
Man, I'll tell you, I couldn't afford John if we didn't have all these people out there doing it, because it takes a lot of time to search that stuff, and luckily for me and for John, our listeners take care of that for us. I mean, virtually every trademark violation we've found have come from our wonderful listeners who care about the brand, and they go see that Hop Grenade, and it's funny. I often get a note, and they usually say, because they know how I get, and I'm a loose cannon, and they're just always, I'm sorry to do this to you, Justin, but I found another one.
I mentioned they hate it and kind of like it.
They're apologizing. They're apologetic to you.
I know.
You might want to sit down for this.
Yeah.
And they send you links and pictures and all that.
Oh, yeah. They give me all the info.
You just pass it on to John.
So I appreciate that, folks. Keep it up. The brand is what we have. We have that and a mascot with a beard. That's about it. So...
Until it gets burnt off.
So once again, go to beerlawcenter.com and check all that out, because John can take care of you like he has taken care of us. All right, well, like I said, we got a great show for you tonight. We've got Speakeasy Ales and Lagers on the program. We're going to be talking to Clay. He's the head of Brewing Operations there, and we'll find out about a little of the history. Speakeasy is one of the One of the longest-running craft breweries, certainly in California, but I think in the country. So we'll learn about that and so much more. Plus, we're going to get to taste the beer. If you want to call in, talk to Clay yourself, it's 888-401-BEER, or you can join Bevo in the chat room, the one on the homepage, thebrewingnetwork.com, not over at Livestream. Hang in there. It's The Session. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Brewing great beer is a process of continuous learning, and the best books on every aspect of brewing can be found at Brewers Publications, with more than 50 awesome titles like Modern Homebrew Recipes by Gordon Strong, Designing Great Beers, the Ultimate Guide to Brewing Classic Beer Styles by Ray Daniels, American Sour Beers, Innovative Techniques for Mixed Fermentations by Michael Tonsmeyer, For the Love of Hops, The Practical Guide to Aroma, Bitterness, and the Culture of Hops by Stan Hieronymus, and Radical Brewing, Recipes, Tales, and World-Altering Meditations in a Glass by Randy Mosher, plus many, many more. These are the books and the authors with the knowledge to push your brewing farther than you thought possible. And you'll find them all at fine homebrew and book retailers everywhere. And visit the website at brewerspublications.com. Brewers Publications, all the best on beer and brewing.
Marin Brewing Company in Northern California has been making award-winning beers for more than 25 freaking years. Today, I want to tell you about their new 12-ounce cans of Mount Tam Pale Ale. The good stuff, Mount Tam is bright gold, 5.5% ABV to keep you feeling good, and has been winning awards since 1989. If you're visiting the Bay Area, get your butt out to Marin Brewing Company. They pour tasty beers and serve great food every day until midnight. Come in for a tour, stay for the food, and pick up a 6-pack of cans of Mount Tam Pale Ale to enjoy at home, camping, biking, or whatever the hell you do. Owner Brendan Moylan has this to say about Marin Brewing beers.
It's freaking awesome.
Marin Brewing has won more than 100 gold medals in international competitions. Check out marinbrewing.com for all their award-winning beers, food, and merch. Marin Brewing Company in Larkspur, California. Award-winning taste, refreshing finish. It's freaking awesome.
Tuned into this session because life's too short to listen to crappy radio.
Welcome back to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us. And thank you also to White Labs, who's just released a mobile app. You can go to whitelabs.com and check it out. Whether you're a home brewer searching for your next strain or a professional putting in an order, White Labs mobile app has something for everyone. Key features include an easy-to-navigate ordering system, custom culture calculator to determine appropriate pitch rates, homebrew store locator, up-to-the-minute inventory availability, and more. Download the White Labs mobile app for iPhone or Android by searching White Labs in the App Store. And thank them while you're at it for being a supporter of the Brewing Network for all this time. They're wonderful. As promised, we've got Speakeasy Ales and Lagers in the studio. We are joined by Clay Jordan, the Director of Brewing Operations. Welcome, Clay.
Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, I'm glad to see you. Not because I've met you, but because it means Speakeasy is alive and well.
Indeed. It's good to be seen.
Yeah. So how long have you been with Speakeasy, Clay?
So just about a year and a half.
Okay. Got it. And if you don't mind, we got to dive right in just to Speakeasy in general, because our listeners want to know. But first of all, Speakeasy was like one of the oldest craft breweries in the U.S., right? Had been around, through it.
Yeah, absolutely, since 1997.
97, okay.
And so a lot of people kind of forget, this we would have been 20 years last year. So definitely a long time.
Yeah, so a pioneer in craft brewing, which is why I think it really struck a chord with everybody when people found out that Speakeasy might not be around anymore. And so what happened there? Was there a bankruptcy, or I don't even understand what had gone down?
You know what? I almost don't even understand what happened, because it's a really weird situation. So there was not a bankruptcy.
Okay.
But they did run out of money.
I see.
And so that's the common thread with everything. But we did it was a weird thing called a receivership. And so Speakeasy never technically went out of business. And that was kind of unfortunate because a lot of people think that Speakeasy did go out of business. It technically did not. Okay. And that was the receivership part of it. So no bankruptcy, never out of business. We technically didn't even stop producing beer. We just had to go through a restructuring, and essentially, if you get down to the brass tacks, the bank took this company back and then found a new buyer for it.
Okay.
So we got a new owner.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So now I understand why you don't understand it either, because the bank took it back, but there still wasn't a bankruptcy. Operations still didn't even really stop, but there is a new owner.
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
and we had to shrink down to a very small skeleton staff. Saying when we didn't technically stop brewing beer, we did brew a lot less beer. So, it did shrink down a lot, which is why we're building back up now.
Okay. So the new owner comes in, it transfers hands to that person, and now, since then, I assume you guys have just been ramping up again.
Absolutely. So trying to get back out into all the old markets that we were. We had to pull out of a few key places, but now we're just trying to work the magic and get the beer back out and get our relationships back up with everybody that we had before.
Got it. See, and that's part of the unfortunate story from a business perspective, too, because, man, did Speakeasy have a lot of tap handles.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Right? Like, as a beer fan, for as long as I've been a beer fan, you go to, first of all, any good beer bar, and then really any beer bar that was carrying craft beer, and the two staples in our area that you were going to find are Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and Speakeasy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Big Daddy was just everywhere.
Absolutely, especially San Francisco. I mean, Big Daddy was a staple. It was the IPA for San Francisco for a long time.
Right. It was one of my first IPAs. And in a good way and a bad way, because in a good way, boy, was the flavor wonderful. But in a bad way, I wasn't ready for that yet. I wasn't ready for the alcohol content. I'm just saying, I was young, and I was one of those guys who the beer sort of caught me by surprise.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was one of the first West Coast IPA, hoppy, alcoholic, bold.
Right. And then Speakeasy really built a name on that. Like, you guys weren't afraid to have these bold beers, because it's not like the next beer you put out, was a light lager. Then we get into Double Daddy and you name it.
Oh, man, we'll take the very first one, the Prohibition Ale. It's an amber ale, but it is dry hopped, it's alcoholic, it's sweet, it is bold. It's not your just easy drinking.
Is that the beer we have here?
It is, yes. Yeah, that's our first one.
I haven't had a Prohibition in a while. It smells great.
It is, yeah. And, I try to tell people it's very unique. People, when they think of amber ales these days, they think of something very light, very old-fashioned, something kind of left over from the late 80s.
Yeah.
But this is not. I mean, it is from, the 90s, but it's like I said, it's bold. It's very alcoholic. It's very
amber.
sweet. It's hoppy. Yeah, it's dry hop, just like just like the Big Daddy is. So
sure,
it's out there.
In your assessment, or you guys trying to figure out maybe what had happened before that Speakeasy might have run out of money and how to prevent that from happening again, was looking at the beers and the recipes part of that process for you guys? Did you think you had to make some major changes?
Oh, definitely, especially for me. I mean. Taking care of the beer is my primary job.
Yeah.
And so making sure that we're making the beers that people want to drink is what we need to be doing and focusing on quality. That being said, the old Speakeasy, they didn't go under because people didn't like the beer.
Okay.
We still, Prohibition and Big Dad are still our number 1 and 2 sellers.
So you guys are selling some beer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it's not because these went out of style. They're classic styles.
Yeah.
They've been around for a long time, and that says a lot. So when we are looking at, the new company and how we're going forward, one of my big things was I didn't want to mess with any of these beers.
Okay.
They're great the way they are, and they're going to stay that way.
They've been dialed in over the years.
Absolutely.
They were in store shelves everywhere. I mean, they had a
absolutely.
big footprint.
Absolutely.
Bombers,
Big
Draft. I think you guys cans for a while too, right?
Yeah, we're still canning.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, their demise wasn't beer; it was business.
Yeah.
They expanded, and of course, with expansion becomes a bigger loan at the bank.
Sure.
Of course, you can't sell that much more beer that quickly.
Right.
So where do you get revenue? Well, you get behind on your payments is what happens.
Okay.
Pretty soon the bank says, "Yeah, we got this receivership thing.
Yeah.
That's what you need, right?"
Yeah.
Looks like it kind of happened to Magnolia too.
Not so different.
For the same, where they did that big expansion, and then before you know it, just not enough revenue coming in.
You see these problems. You see people do an expansion, and then they find a merger partner.
Yeah.
2015 and 16 were not super kind to the craft industry.
Yeah. And honestly, I think there's going to be a little more of that, right, for the next couple years.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, the regional brewery with a limited number of brands, is because they're big and they can't make a lot of small amounts of a lot of beers, are up against the rotating tap model, which is where they want to carry your beer, but we had this beer of yours like last week. We won't want it for another month because we've got all these beers that are made by these smaller breweries,
right?
And they can make different beer every week.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a regional brewery right
it's
now.
Rough.
There's only one reason I would want to be a large regional brewery, and that's when I come get bought out for a fat paycheck. But short of that, you're just up against the wall. It seems.
Yeah.
Because you can't go backwards, and going forward is just exponential in cost and volume, and you name it. What a tough spot to be in.
When you look at the big guys, they're in the same boat.
Yeah.
The bigger the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And you become more sensitive to ingredient pricing instability too.
Okay.
At a regional brewery where you're skimming by on the margins.
I see.
And some instability happens, hops go up a little bit, your margins get even thinner.
Wow. Yeah, that's why the Brewing Network's just tiny. That's the only reason why, guys. It's to keep it safe, guys. How many states do you guys distribute in? Do you know?
Boy, right now, I want to say we are in, maybe like 6 or 7.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a pretty good distribution. What size brewery do you have? How many barrels is the brew house?
So the brew house is 60 barrels. It's a unique size.
Okay.
We have a 230 barrel system basically.
I see.
So 60 barrels total. But that's kind of what I was saying. We're trying to get back into the markets we were in. We were in a lot of states before.
I see.
We're getting back into those markets, but it's we're taking our time. We wanted to focus on California. We wanted to focus on San Francisco. Like I said, we wanted to focus on getting back in our home market.
Right.
San Francisco, Northern California is our home, and that's where everybody knows and loves us. And so we want to make sure we get out there before we start worrying about getting back into too far out.
That's smart. Tell me more about Prohibition Ale here. What does the base malt look like? Or all the malts, rather.
So this is really nice. So this is base malt 2-row, as you do. But then got your Weyermann Cara Munich 3,
okay,
and which is a pretty dark malt for an amber. and then Patagonia C90 Crystal.
Okay.
So,
and is it Maris Otter base malt, or is that just an American 2-row?
Nope, American 2-row.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I said, this is a classic '90s beer.
Yeah. So most of that color, then you get, is that coming from the Patagonia or
mostly the Cara Munich?
The Cara Munich.
Mm-hmm.
What does the Patagonia do?
The Patagonia just gives it like a little bit of. If you taste in that, you get like a little bit of sweetness, caramel, chocolatey.
Illinois kind of character.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Malt, very malt. Yeah. This is a malt forward beer.
That's what ambers are.
Mm-hmm.
Good ambers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of ambers are just like darker colored pale ales.
Yeah.
This is actually real amber.
It's a real amber.
Like you say, it's the classic 90s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hoppy. And,
It's a little more alcoholic than your classic 90s.
Yeah, it's like an IPA, basically.
What is the ABV?
Yeah, what is it?
This is 6.5.
Okay. Yeah. What would it normally be? You think in the 5s somewhere?
Oh, if I could think of some of the other 90s ambers, I'd say like 5.2.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay. And what about hops in this? What did you guys
hops
use?
Is your classic California Centennial Cascade.
Okay. Good C hop amber ale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is
And
still
dry
a great
hops.
beer. And is this, what about yeast? Is it like Chico yeast?
California ale.
Yeah, the regular White Labs Cal Ale stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good stuff. See, that I like it in beers like this, too, when you can just... You can pick all that stuff out. It is a classic style in that way. You know that it's C hops. You're pretty damn sure it's got Cal Ale yeast, and it's made well to showcase all those things, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Is this available in cans also?
It is. Yep.
Yeah. So on tap, in cans,
bottles.
And by the way, you can go to, and this still amazes me. This I think shows me how long you guys have been around, right? Because the website is called goodbeer.com. How the fuck did you guys get goodbeer.com?
Right. Everybody asked that. I have no idea. That was a long time ago.
Exactly, right? It was like, I'm pretty sure AOL was still the main internet source.
Yeah.
And somebody had the wherewithal to buy goodbeer.com. It's a great website. So you can go to goodbeer.com right now and you can look more into the beers that we're talking about. All right. Now, the next beer in our lineup is, arguably the one that made you famous, right?
Absolutely.
Is that Big Daddy we have next?
Big Daddy IPA.
Okay. That's what I thought. Was this beer around since 90? Would you say opened 96, 97, you said?
So the Speakeasy opened 97. I think Prohibition actually came first.
Okay.
Then Big Daddy. I don't know the exact timing on those, but it would have been around, probably second or third beer.
Got it. Okay. So early on in the craft beer craze, and for a pretty big IPA at the time, again, you guys were bold in the market.
Oh, yeah.
This is still a great IPA. It's bringing back memories of having a bomber of it, though, in my dirty apartment when I was I don't know how old, and just feeling fantastic after one bomber of Big Daddy. It was like the way to go. Little dinner, a Big Daddy, I was done. Yeah, this is a good beer.
Was Speakeasy a brew pub to start, or was it always just a packaging brewery?
No, it was a packaging brewery from the very beginning.
Okay.
Yeah. We dug up some photos for the archives for the tap room the other day, and started out with a couple of 15-barrel fermenters and that sort of thing, but didn't start out as a brew pub. It was full on packaging. And
did it have a tasting room back then?
No, I don't think so. It was at the time the building was split between Speakeasy and I believe a printing company.
Okay.
And so it was a weird little business park where it's still there. It's still in the same spot. But we took over the entire building now. But originally we shared it with a printing company, and they were just making beer, kegging it, and getting it out there.
Got it.
Now, before you had the tap room, you did like Friday night events and stuff like that. I remember coming there and drinking beers.
They would open up the brewery.
Yeah,
absolutely. They'd open up the brewery, and I think to get around any kind of tap room stuff, at that time, you'd sell poker chips. And then your poker chips would get you a beer.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd have live music. Yeah. The former owner was a big music guy, and so there was like a little stage and, popcorn machine and that kind of stuff. And they'd just come in, grab a beer. It's Hunter's Point. So if you're not familiar with the neighborhood, it's out of the way for San Francisco.
It's true.
To say the least. So
yeah, it's like another country to San Francisco sometime.
It's a really small town, but somehow they find a place to get really far away.
Exactly.
It's only like a mile square, the whole town. Right?
It is.
But it's really cool. I mean, it's fun. We have a great neighborhood crowd. We have our locals and that sort of thing. And that's what's really been nice through this whole process is that we had some tough times, but man, have the locals come out in droves. People. We had so much support from all the locals and from everyone around. Everybody's really happy that Speakeasy's back.
That's great.
And especially our local drinkers there in Hunters Point.
That's very cool.
Everybody's just coming back to the brewery, and it's like we never shut down.
Yeah, you can tell on your website, too, that community is important to you guys. And just having been there for so long, it's cool to be that close and for the community to come back and come out and just say, no, you can't go anywhere.
Absolutely.
We need you. And now you have a remodeled tasting room, too, right? You guys just do that?
Yes, we do. It's going to be similar to the vibe. So the vibe stays the same. It's still Speakeasy. It's still dark.
Very nice.
Yep, but it's just a little more polished now. So we put the bar back a couple of feet, so opened it up. We can fit more people. Put in 17 taps. We have a long draw tap system now. Put a crowler machine in. Put some nice copper tables in, just kind of polished it up. So
excellent.
It's still got the same vibe you'd recognize if you came into the brewery, but just a little more polished.
And have people been coming? How long has it been open?
We opened the official opening was January, but we did a soft opening in December.
Okay, people been coming out to the tasting room again?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would imagine just fans like me even would come out just to go. I just had to come and say,
I can't wait to get out there.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun getting people back in. A lot of people hadn't been in a long time, and so this was kind of a nice refresh. Reminds people that we're back open, so it's been great.
Very cool.
We actually have pretty good weather in Hunters Point, so come, we have food trucks and a big parking lot, play yard games and that kind of stuff. So
it's so funny, the microclimates in the Bay Area that you actually just said we have good weather in Hunters Point, which is to say it's slightly different than some other part of San Francisco.
I know,
which
it might be
true.
it might be a little more inside baseball, but it's true. We have great weather versus the other parts of San Francisco
with the fog. That's so funny. Well, so tell us more about Big Daddy, then, everything you can.
Yeah, I mean, what I like to tell people is Big Daddy is classic West Coast IPA. So you have Cascade, Centennial, Chinook, Sea Hops, Pale Malt. There's a little bit of Vienna just to give it a little backbone. But, yeah, it's the tried and true. It's the classic West Coast Pale Ale that, Sierra obviously kind of came up with, but we weren't too far off behind them.
Yeah, I agree. Do you know who came up with all these recipes to begin with? Was it the original owner or a brewer?
There are rumors. I think there's been a couple of brewmasters that changed hands before. I think there was a couple of people who came up with some of these recipes.
Okay.
And then
just over time.
Yeah, they're pretty simple recipes.
They are.
Yeah.
2 malts, 3 hops. Or 3 malts, 3 hops.
Sure. Yeah, but they're dialed in. So maybe they came up with them, and still even over the years, you guys have dialed them in.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing is, I actually really enjoy these simple recipes because you don't need that many ingredients to make a great beer.
Agreed.
It's all in the ferment.
It is. It's the interplay between the hops and the yeast and the malt and the water, of course. But
right.
You don't have to get too crazy with these beers, and especially for these flagship beers that have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
They're still drinkable today, and they're still relevant.
And what about your water there? Is that good old Hetchy water?
Oh yeah, San Francisco, good water.
So you don't have to do much to it, right?
No, we actually don't do hardly anything to it. Actually, we just, depending on what beer we make, we'll adjust some gypsum and calcium chloride, that kind of stuff. But,
okay, got it. They're lucky. What about, it's just a segue really quick, I don't know why we've never asked you about your Loma water. How is it out there?
It's terrible.
So you have to do a bunch to your water out there.
Yeah, so we actually carbon filter and everything, and then we blend about 70% RO into 30% just carbon filtered.
Wow.
And so that just cuts all the minerals and total dissolved solids down to a manageable level.
And then you have to build it back.
And then, so we're not building from scratch, but it kind of creates a semi-neutral base that then we can just make a little minor adjustments from the middle, depending on if it's a hoppy beer or a malty beer or dark beer. Mm-hmm. And we use gypsum and calcium chloride for our main additions. We have a little chalk for the stouts and porters, and we use phosphoric acid for pH adjustment. in the mash.
Do you get jealous when these jokers come in and talk about their hetchy water and they don't have to do anything?
Yeah, it sounds like a lot less work, which would be nice. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, just over the years, brewers we've had on the shows, from Magnolia and 21st Amendment, and these guys, they're always just like, we don't even talk water with them because they just go, we have great water. Done.
Yeah, right. It's funny, especially when you talk to brewers from like Southern California or Midwest, that sort of places where they, Texas is a big one. Terrible water in Texas.
Really?
Good beer in Texas.
Yeah, because they figured it out.
Yeah, those guys work really hard to make those beers. But we're at a great advantage in San Francisco. I'm gonna stick with that.
Yeah, you should.
Is there any seasonable variation to the hetchy water, or is it pretty?
It depends on who you ask.
Okay.
Some guys will claim they can tell. We've done some testing over time. Just from my experience in San Francisco. You can't ever tell. Some people claim that they're blending the water in from somewhere else this week or this month or whatever, and you can't tell. We haven't been able to figure out when they're doing what. So
got it.
Okay.
Do you dry hop the Big Daddy?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's always been a thing.
It has. Yep.
Okay. I feel like people think the newfangled craft beer drinkers are like, it's dry hopping, it's the new thing, but no.
The rate at which you dry hop is pretty new, or at least the new beers are really high rated dry hops. But no, this one's
always had been.
Yeah, always had been. Tastes great, Centennial and Cascade, like I said, and it's good. Those good classic West Coast California.
Right. Yeah. Also, easy contracts for you guys. It's like you're just blending a lot of the same ingredients in different ways in beers, as a brewer does. But you're not having to go out there and contract 30 different hops. And
not yet.
But you might.
Yeah.
We are. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is. It's true. We have these big contracts we use a lot of the C hops for Prohibition and Big Daddy, our flagship beers. But one of the things that I want to do is going forward with Speakeasy is that's kind of where Speakeasy was lacking. Is we have these flagships from the 90s, which are awesome, and they're not going away.
Yeah.
But we do need to remind people that we are relevant. We're going to be, coming out with experimental beers, new beers, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Sierra Nevada did the same thing. We've talked about that on here. Everybody's a fan of Sierra Nevada. I don't care who you are. If you say you're not...
You're lying.
Yeah, and don't come to my bar on top of that. So everybody is. But we all sort of knew, like, okay, well, here's Sierra. And then for me, it seemed all of a sudden, we just started seeing all these new beers from them. And, of course, people had said, well, if you ever went to Chico, you could... they always had a ton of beers on the tasting room. But I never went to Chico. I wanted them down here. And now I feel like they've sort of done the same thing. And, mostly just to remind people, like... my theory was they wouldn't... we had them on the show not too long ago. And they didn't corroborate my theory. I think they're still lying. My theory was that they spent so long just keeping up with demand of Pale Ale and a few of the others, right, that they just couldn't. But they denied that. They said, actually, they just didn't need to or want to, and now they are.
Yeah, and what I try to remind people of, too, is from the brewing standpoint, coming out with a new beer all the time is difficult.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to make a really good product, and we're trying to do it in a good, efficient way.
Right.
And the public doesn't necessarily see that aspect of it.
No, they're dicks about it even. They don't care. Just give me that new
give
product.
Give me something new. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, you guys don't understand how many hours we put into making this, getting coordinated, making sure that we can actually do this properly, and how many batches we, put down the drain before we actually got it out to you.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm really glad you bring that up, because we are fickle, and not just that, very demanding. We'll also be, so you will come out with these new beers because we're asking for it, and we could be very quick to shit on them.
Yeah, get real critical.
So it's nice for you to point out, like, look, not that everyone has to like them, but to point out, just because you didn't like it doesn't mean that a ton of thought didn't go into it, a ton of R&D, a ton of everything, just for it to make it to my glass.
Absolutely. Think about how many times you got to fail before you find the one beer that's going to succeed.
Yeah. Pale 31.
Oh, so sad.
She's gone.
She's gone.
Yeah, thank you, Beardy.
I don't know why.
That was in my head.
Yeah.
Okay, what's we have time for one more beer before the break. What's this next beer?
So this is the Foggy IPA, and this is a collaboration brew that we did with the San Francisco Brewers Guild for San Francisco Beer Week.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So we were lucky enough to host the brew this year. It's a style that we got from the Guild. The Guild kind of come up with what we're going to brew. Surprise, surprise, they wanted a hazy IPA.
Yeah, of course.
So we were kind of put in charge to make this beer and package it and get it out to everybody on behalf of the Guild.
Was that, just real quick, was that like an homage to Speakeasy too? To kind of be like, you guys should make this Guild beer because you're the ones who have been here?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
The reason why I really wanted to do this, I try to be as active as I can in the Guild. I really wanted to take this on as we got started because we took this project. This project starts well before San Francisco Beer Week. Sure. It takes a long time to get this going. Sure. But I really wanted to take this project on because it would remind people that, hey, we are back. We're still here, and we're going to be here for a long time. So
it's a lot of pressure, though. It
is a lot of pressure, but I'm up for the challenge.
I think you succeeded. So well
Thank
done.
you.
Yeah. All right. Well, tell us more about the beer.
Yeah. So it's a collaboration beer. So we got everybody from the Guild into the tap room, and we poured them a bunch of our beer. And we just started getting some ideas going. We knew the base style, hazy IPA. But, we kind of decided that we wanted to do a hazy IPA, but we wanted to make sure that it was still San Francisco. It's a New England style. It's how everybody describes it, or East Coast IPA, that sort of thing. Well, we were making IPAs before IPAs were cool. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't lose sight of what's California, what's San Francisco. And so we made this hazy IPA, but we did it in a West Coast way. So we used all those great C hops that we always use, that everybody still uses. Cascade, ton of Cascade, Centennial, Chinook, Columbus. Even threw in a little bit of Nugget in there.
Okay. Yeah, I get more piney than juicy.
Definitely.
Which I really like. It's a nice
not using
change.
the juice hops. That's what they didn't use the
Yeah,
mosaic.
no mosaic, no no Citra, none of those.
I like it. My first sip, and it's a very different hazy IPA than I've had.
Yeah, it's got the haze, it's got the look, it's got the mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Because that's a big part that people sort of miss out on when they're talking about hazy IPAs. There's a mouthfeel component that's very important. But, they always describe it as juicy, and there's always that stone fruit character that people think of. But, almost everybody's making them with mosaic, and you forget Cascade is a great hop, pine, citrus. Those
are great
old
flavors,
school West Coast flavors are great.
Old school, but so relevant.
Where's the haze coming from in this beer then?
So this is coming
it's
from
not juice.
No, it's not juice. The haze is coming from ample helpings of some cereal malts. So wheat, rye. There's even a little bit of flaked rice in here, if you'd believe it.
Okay.
So just some non-fermentable.
Did that make for a difficult mash? Was all that in the mash? Or?
You know what? The mash wasn't too bad. We kind of expected that it was going to have some trouble, so we made sure we threw some rice hulls in there to ease lautering and that sort of thing.
Like insurance.
The difficult thing was the amount of hops that it takes to make this beer. We dry hop pretty heavily, but when you're going 5+ pounds per barrel dry hop.
Wow,
man, you run into some logistical problems.
With the accounting department,
right? Oh yeah, for sure. And then we made a really big batch. We made 120 barrels.
Wow.
Most people were making hazy IPAs are still pretty small.
Right.
It gets into a big logistical problem when you are throwing a pallet's worth of hops into a beer.
And then did a bunch of it have to be donated because it was a Guild beer on top of that?
Yes. So have you been talking to the Guild? I mean,
no, I've been around. I know what happens. I've seen this shit before.
I don't like to talk about that aspect of the collaboration Guild. It's all rainbows and butterflies from our end.
That's right. That's fine.
Couldn't have gone any better.
I'm just like, man, don't make the same mistake again.
5 pounds per barrel.
Sell the goddamn beer. I really like this beer, and I hope that brewers taste this and notice that some of the piney and earthy works great in a hazy IPA too.
I can't believe it's hazy.
Yeah, we've gotten some really good responses, and we're really proud about how it tasted.
I like your theory too. Your take on it to go. Well, this still has to be a West Coast beer because you're making it for Beer Week and for the.
It was the 10th anniversary of San Francisco Gala, the Beer Week, and we wanted to not lose sight of our roots.
Yeah.
You guys did well.
Yeah.
You did well.
Yeah, the piney hop character helps harsh the mellow in a good way.
Yeah.
Finish of this beer.
I like the style.
It was surprising even. That's why I said that first sip just kind of surprised me even. Yeah. And then I went, all right, there we go. It's a good hazy.
Mm-hmm. West Coast hazy beer. That's what I'm thinking.
All right, let me get us to a break because we have more beer to try. Now we're going to get into the big beer. We haven't even done the big. See, Speakeasy on the show. Yeah. We're done with the 7% beers, so we can do the big beers.
We can go to the normal Speakeasy beers.
This might be why I've never had Speakeasy on the show before. Is just for this reason.
Oh yeah.
We did some TV stuff over at Speakeasy years ago when we were doing the BYOB TV thing. Although I think we just ended up having an after party there. We wrapped up the show and had a big party at Speakeasy years ago. Yeah, they were very accommodating. All right, let me get us to a break. Like I promised, so we can get back and drink some beer. While we're on the break, you can go to greatfermentations.com. They've got the largest catalog of Blickman products on the web, and their staff is some of the best trained in the business at using Blickman products. They have top-notch customer service and same-day shipping on so many items. Check them out at greatfermentations.com, and be sure to like them on Facebook. That's GR8 Fermentation. And Twitter and Instagram and all the things. GreatFermentations.com. All right, when we come back, more with Speakeasy. We've got Clay Jordan, Director of Brewing Operations, in here, and we've got some of their bigger beers to try next. 888-401-BEER or join Bevo in the chat room. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. The Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, there are amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from thebrewingnetwork.com. Do you know the three most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today. Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack
stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Breweasy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Breweasy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Breweasy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Breweasy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Breweasy.
Hey guys, what'll it be?
I'm not sure. What do you recommend?
A lot of people seem to like the Hefeweizen.
Is that a German Hefeweizen or more of an American-style wheat beer?
I'm not sure, but I can give you a taste.
Okay, great.
The Cicerone Certification Program certifies and educates beer professionals in order to elevate the beer experience for consumers. Unfortunately, not every bar is staffed with certified beer servers who can guide their customers through a beer list.
Here you go, guys. Let me know what you think of the Hefeweizen.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely more of an American meat. But I can hardly tell because this beer just smells like sour butter. I wonder how long it's been since they cleaned the draft line.
Yeah, and look at the bubbles on the side of the glass. It's filthy.
Somebody should tell these guys about the Cicerone program.
For sure. How about we head somewhere else for another beer?
Your server should give beer the same respect you do. Request quality. The Cicerone Certification Program offers 4 levels of beer certification, in-person classes, and course books for beer professionals. Check them out at cicerone.org. The Cicerone Certification Program. We know beer.
Hi, this is Tyler from Libertine Brewing Company on the Central Coast of California. You're listening to Brewing Network, The Session. It sucks. Does it suck? It sucks. But that's what's good about it, is that it sucks, right?
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you want to learn more about beer, you should be interested in Brewers Publications. You know Brewers Publications. They invite you to start a new chapter in your brewing journey with nearly 50 titles in print and ebook format. Brewers Publications is the leading publisher of contemporary and relevant brewing literature for today's craft brewers, homebrewers, and enthusiasts. The catalog includes works from Ken Schramm, John Palmer, our dude, Stan Hieronymus, Gordon Strong, Jamil, our other dude, and many other brewing innovators. Visit brewingpublications.com to browse their selection of beer books. All right. We are still with Speakeasy Brewing and Lagers. We're going to talk about lagers this segment, as a matter of fact. People forget sometimes that Speakeasy is the full name, right?
Ales and Lagers.
It's got a whole name.
Don't forget about the lagers.
You know, this is one of the problems with having a great brand, actually, because just the word Speakeasy does it. It's just a great brand.
It is.
So nobody ever gets to the end.
Yeah. Everybody's, oh, Speakeasy.
But you guys do produce lagers.
Absolutely.
Give me an example of what is your favorite lager that you guys produce?
Well, so I'm very old-fashioned, so I really like our Pop Gun Pilsner.
Okay.
It's a Czech-style Pilsner, so it's got that nice sort of earthy spiciness to it, you know, that you expect from a Czech Pilsner. But it's a session beer, so it's 4.7%.
Oh, nice.
So actually pretty typical for a good Pilsner and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but
sure.
It's session by Speakeasy standards.
Well, and see, speaking of just kind of classic styles, too, like just to do it like that, I want lagers classic styles like that.
Absolutely.
You know, I like some of the other ones. Like I'm a big fan of Pivo Pils from Firestone, right? Mm-hmm. But that's really on the hoppy side for a Pils, right?
It is, yeah, absolutely. And ours is hoppy too, but not in the same sense. So you get it's more of the spicy hoppiness that you get, rather than the aroma. You know, it's if you smelled it, you wouldn't say, "Oh, this is dry hopped. This is hoppy." It's not dry hopped. It's
you get those noble spices.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
a nice little bitterness on the tongue.
Right. So, do you think you're going to produce new lagers for Speakeasy as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one of my sort of pet projects for Speakeasy Ales and Lagers, to remind people of the lager side of that. And
do you have a background in German brewing?
I do.
Yeah.
So I went to the Siebel Academy or the Siebel Institute in Chicago, and I did the master's program at Doman's.
Oh yeah,
out in Munich.
Nice.
So rare for the West Coast. You know, most of the brewers out here, UC Davis or.
Of course,
that sort of thing. So
you did that just to go hang out in Munich, though, didn't you?
Well, it was a nice perk. That was
a bonus.
Sure.
Yeah,
a great program.
Yeah. You might have remembered something from Doman's.
Yeah, a little bit. It was awesome too because we went out and it's a bunch of American brewers. It's an American program. We got to hang out with the German students a little bit, but for the most part, we kind of not all of us spoke German.
Right.
So there was that hurdle, but it was fun because everybody thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna start missing these hoppy beers. The Germans don't know anything about IPAs.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And by the time we were finished, we're like, oh my gosh, these lagers are awesome.
Yeah.
The Germans actually do know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about, and they take it serious.
Right. So you got educated through that.
Yep.
And how do you think you'll apply that to Speakeasy now?
Well, and that's the fun part is taking what I learned and applying it. So, like I said, I want to remind people that there is lagers out there, and not just your easy drinking American lagers. There's dark lagers, there's smoked lagers, there's malty lagers, there's hoppy lagers, there's all sorts of variations of lagers. It's not just ales that are experimental. There's all sorts of opportunities to experiment with lagers as well. They take a little longer, they take a little more effort, but I think it's well worth it.
I think you're in a good position right now, timing wise, because you're not just going to be reminding people, you're actually going to be encouraging, I think, what's happening. Don't you think that lagers are? I mean, right now, what I'm noticing is hazy IPAs. And lagers, actually. A lot of small breweries making lagers, and that wasn't happening before.
Pilsners are an upcoming style.
Yeah.
And then they're replacing session beer.
Okay.
As a 4.5 to 5.1 kind of option.
Well, and like you said, you mentioned Pivot Pils.
Yeah.
Fantastic beer.
Yeah.
How many times has it won a JBF Gold? Every brewer on the planet, that's their go-to Pilsner. One of their go-to styles.
Yeah.
People are drinking, lagers on their own time.
Yeah.
So the brewers drink at the brewery.
Absolutely, that's what the brewers drink.
But the consumers are the ones finally coming around.
Exactly. I think as a more mature, more enlightened consumer, it realizes they can't drink 6.5%, 7%, 8% IPAs all night. They got to mix in a glass of water or a Pilsner.
Yeah. And somebody asked me the other night, too, because everybody knows every bar or brewery or whatever I go into, I just look at the menu for a pale ale, and that's the first thing I order is the pale ale. And they were like, well, what else do you order? Not much. But if it's going to be something, it's going to be a lager. It's going to be a Pilsner or a Helles or something else that the brewery makes is my second go-to beer.
Yep. And I think what probably most of us do, but we might not admit, is that we will also just order the lager from the menu. Because if they have a good lager, everything else is probably pretty good.
Right. Yeah,
if you want to stay or not, right?
It's a litmus
exactly.
test. Yeah.
You know why I don't do that?
Because you want to stay?
Yeah. Because you're 100% right. And I'll be like, well, I'm already here. I'm just going to... Yeah. So, but you are so right about that.
And it's nice that the consumer is coming around to wanting both ales and lagers. But one thing that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is the difficulty of being able to use the same equipment to make both, like from a brew house perspective. How do you guys do that there?
Yeah, you know what? You get in a lot of fights with your operations guy on how long the beer's going to take.
Okay.
That's how you do that. We use our same equipment. We do everything we normally would. We do have the benefit of having a big space, so we're not constrained by our tank size. Not yet, anyway. Hopefully, we will.
Yeah.
But right now, we have the space. So we can put some lagers in. We can give them in there for 3, 4, 5 weeks sometimes, depending on what we're doing.
Is that what you mean by equipment differences, Beardy? It's mostly just tank space?
There is the tank space and different cellar design, but even in the brew house, like with step mashing or decoction mashing and just
that's true.
And hopping. Like, so you could have a really nice lager system, but it couldn't handle an IPA if you threw an IPA recipe into it, and
I see.
Vice versa.
So actually, we have the ability to do step mashing, which is really unique. Like you said, not many people have the ability to do step mashing.
Not on the West Coast, anyway.
No. Yeah. But yeah, we do. We do have the ability to do that, which is nice. We actually don't have a current step mashing process for our lagers.
Okay.
We do those single infusions similar to our ales.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, we're using premium products. We're using all 100% Pilsner malts, and so the malts are pretty well modified on their own.
Sure.
So it's nice to have those. You buy premium ingredients, you get to make premium beer.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a whole palette of extra malts you can add to kind of give a little more character to the beer.
Yeah, definitely. Depending on which one we're making.
Yeah.
We just did a show in Fort Collins. I'm yet to post it because I screwed up some of the audio. But we had Prost Brewing Company and Zwei Brewing Company, and we did a decoction mash versus non-decoction mash.
Cool.
Taste-off. Wasn't a competition. We just wanted to taste, differences. Both beers were fantastic, but they are different.
They are.
As a brewer, and especially being trained like you are, I could almost be certain that you could put the two side by side and taste the difference. But when I was talking to Beardy about it, he was asking me more questions, and I bet if they weren't side by side, I couldn't taste the difference. And my palate's just not that refined.
One this week, then one next week.
Well, exactly. Let's see. It's Zwei Brewing out of Colorado that doesn't do the decoction. Loved their Helles, right? Side by side with the Prost, it was different. And I bet if you gave it to me, if they weren't just side by side, I'd just keep going, wow, great Helles. Awesome Helles. But when you could tell some of the subtle differences, as I'm sure the German left in you would put.
Oh, definitely. And it comes out, too, because everybody's, what your classic example of a triple decoction Pilsner is Pilsner Urquell. That's the classic. That was the beer that changed everything.
Right.
And they still do that triple decoction.
I know. It's crazy.
And you buy their beer, it's really nice. You can get it in cans now, and I think it tastes a lot better than, getting those green bottles all the way over the Czech Republic.
Yeah, for sure.
But, you can tell just by the color. It's a little darker. It's not your super light colored beer.
Right.
But it's got that taste. It's got that good lager, Eastern European Saw's noble character to it.
Yeah, in the two Helleses that we did side by side, that actually was the main difference. We discovered accidentally that they have a nearly identical malt bill, which, as you would anyway with the style. But they went even the brand, the supplier. But yeah, one was just a little bit darker than the other, significantly enough to tell, especially with a lager, right?
And it makes a difference when you're doing lagers because the tiniest little difference will come out in the
there's no place to hide in those.
Yeah. Now, do you think you'll do? You were mentioning that there's all kinds of lagers. So, are you thinking you'll do non-traditional styles, or maybe just branch out on that whole spectrum?
Well, I'll let you into a little bit of what we're doing is we're going to come out with a dark lager for the fall.
Nice.
It's not going to be dark is kind of a naughty word when it comes to lagers and people drinking beer because they think heavy.
I don't like that dark beer.
This audience probably knows, but when you're talking to the broad audience, people hear dark and they get turned off.
Yeah.
But we're going to come out with a very easy drinking, not quite a Schwartz beer. Going to be a little lighter than a Schwartz beer, but a dark lager.
Okay. Maybe we should call it evening lager instead, so you don't turn people off.
Well, we got to keep that speakeasy shtick going, so we got to come up with a cool gangster name for
That's
it.
That's true.
Not light lager.
Not light lager.
Yeah. You do have to have a good gangster name for it.
That's in the works right now.
Okay.
I would like to do some kind of a really dark, heavy beer for wintertime, that sort of thing. I do believe in seasonal beers, even though, the weather out here doesn't really change that much.
Right. Well, it just depends on which little block you're on in San Francisco. It might change. And what about yeast for your lagers? Will you kind of change that up, or do you stick to something? Do you have a favorite?
Well, I like to stick to one strain because as we're going to make more lagers, the great thing is making a lot of lagers. What's really difficult for a lot of brewers when they do make a lager, if they don't make a lot of it or they don't make them consistently, you're buying your pitches all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice to have a few different lagers. We can keep that strain alive and use it in a broad variety. We might not pitch from our dark lager to a lighter lager, but we can pitch from our Pop Gun Pilsner or Metropolis lager and keep the yeast going, and that gives us a much more consistent product. And we can save some money at the same time.
Sure.
And beer's better with bigger pitches typically. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
More mature yeast.
It's awesome to have a pitch that's 3-4 generations in, and it just rips and does its job. And
everything's healthy.
Everything's healthy. Everything's awesome.
Yeah.
So fresh pitches take longer. They're great, but they take longer. You got to kind of baby them a little bit.
You know what I'd like to see you guys do, especially because it goes with your brand, is a pre-prohibition lager. You know, back
that'd be
when
cool.
there was an American lager that was more like a German lager before we turned it into American light lager.
Yeah,
You know, and you could make like a meaty American lager
That's
out
not
of
a
it.
bad idea.
Plus, you've already got half the branding there.
Yeah, exactly.
Just add the damn pre ahead of it.
Wouldn't Prohibition lager be more to the point? I mean, because that's when they made their money.
Yeah, that's true.
As a speakeasy.
Yeah, that's true. You guys
That's what they were making
wouldn't
then.
have been around pre-Prohibition.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't exist till they were made for it.
Yeah. Then you have to call it time capsule lager or something. Yeah. All right. Well, I started sipping the Double Daddy because it was in front of me. So, tell us about this beer.
So the Double Daddy is one that we actually did mess with a little bit with the new company.
Okay.
Double Daddy is not just a double version of Big Daddy, even though that's kind of the name and that's the play. It is a double IPA, but we kind of wanted to update it for the modern IPA drinker. So we wanted to dry it out a little bit. Mm-hmm. We didn't want a whole lot of sweetness going in there. So we took out, this was a double IPA made, a dozen years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have your sweetness to mask the to blend out the alcohol and that kind of stuff. So we just kind of tried to update it a little bit. So we dried it out a lot, took out a lot of those Munich malts. You don't need those kind of malts in IPAs modern day. So we wanted it dry. And then we used some much more different hops than the Big Daddy.
Okay.
So we got away from the C hops. So this one's very much El Dorado. We still use Columbus for our bittering hop, but it's El Dorado. There's still some Cascade in there, but El Dorado is where you're going to get a lot of more of the flavor coming out this way.
Okay. Can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
I am so glad you changed this beer up.
Good.
And look, there probably wasn't anything wrong with the other one, but it just didn't. It wasn't my thing, and it was too sweet. I actually don't like double IPAs a whole bunch anyway. But you put a Pliny or something in front of me, and I like it because of these characteristics, because of exactly what you're
Drier,
talking
it's
about.
got more sugar.
This kind of modern, I would not have ordered a Big Daddy from you guys, but this, you really turned it around.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you did.
Good. I'm glad you like it. It was a big gamble on our part because, on
Got
my
a
part.
fan base. Probably
It had a big fan base, especially in our tap room.
Yeah, okay.
Double Daddy was a major tap room favorite. People always came to the bar and got Double Daddy.
Bevo, are you waving at me because you were a fan of Double Daddy?
I actually have a picture of myself asleep on the floor of the kitchen of the house that we rented for my bachelorette party. Thank you, Double Daddy.
Yeah, it's a different type of being a fan.
Can you say that to our brewery? Because we'll put that on some social media.
No. It's the most unattractive thing in the world. But no, I used to be a really big fan of this beer, and my tastes have changed over time, but I like the new version.
Yeah.
I like it maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
Good.
And I bet you that the fans in the tap room that you're talking about, the diehards, of course there's going to be a couple but I bet most of them like it too.
We didn't hear too many complaints.
Yeah.
Not too many.
This is a really high quality beer. You taste it right away. I'm so glad you mentioned all those changes, because what I was going to say before you started was like, I don't remember it being this good, mostly because it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Good, thank you very much. Yeah, it's one of my favorite beers that we make, and it just needed to be updated.
Sure. Did you have to change, how it's dry hopped or anything like that with the amounts there, or was it mostly a kind of a malt change?
No, it was very malt driven. Yeah, the dry hops stayed kind of the same, but they're much more pronounced when you don't kind of hide behind that malty backbone that a lot of the old double IPAs have.
Yeah.
We got rid of all the Munich malt that was in this, and dried it up a lot. And then all of a sudden, there's some really cool hops in there.
Right. That El Dorado is a good choice, too.
Yeah, I love El Dorado.
What are the IBUs on this beer?
This bad boy's like, it's 85, I want to say.
Wow.
So pretty high.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't taste like 85.
No, it tastes more like 83, 84.
Yeah, maybe 84 and a half on a good day.
Yeah. No, I would say it's more balanced than hop forward.
Yeah. I really enjoy this, but I would have guessed maybe 70, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the interplay between the sweetness, the old sweetness, people you use sweetness to mask some of the alcohol, some of the bitterness, that sort of thing. But you wanted to get that hop character coming through. This one's more. We focus more on the dry hopping, so you get more aroma. Mm-hmm. We got rid of all those caramel malts and the Munich malts, so it's very dry and it's very simple. But it's mellow. It's still got some alcohol to it, but nothing in your face.
What is the ABV?
ABV is 8.5.
Okay. I think you even get a little alcohol sweetness out of that, too, which is helping to balance it, rather than the malt sweetness that used to be there.
Oh, yeah, I don't get any sugar sweetness left over from the malt or anything.
No.
Very dry malt bill.
Yeah, very dry.
And you just let good old Cal Ale rip through this, too?
Yep, loves it.
What temperature?
67 degrees.
Okay.
Yep. We do diacetyl raises for our ales, for the homebrewers at home.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
Yeah, we do it 2 reasons. I mean, obviously we don't want any diacetyl in our beer, so we do a diacetyl raise not just for our lagers, but for the ales as well. But that also just gives that yeast like a little bit, kind of gives it a kick and finishes off and gets it nice and dry.
When do you do it? Is that what you're going to ask too? Like I never knew as a home brewer if I wait till I think it's completely done and then I raise the temp.
So it depends on what beer we're doing.
Okay.
We typically about 2/3 way through the fermentation, but if it's a higher gravity beer like Double Dad would be, or triple IPA, or one of the big high gravity beers, we do it a little bit sooner just because the yeast can get fatigued. Oh. And the worst thing you want to do is let the yeast get fatigued and then try to kick it in its ass, and then it's not going to finish out.
Yeah.
Well, and Jamil had said to me before, whether it was on these shows or not, that he felt that the ester production and things that you're worried about are mostly during the reproductive phase in the first 2 days anyway.
Yeah, primary fermentation.
Yeah, so he felt anything after the reproductive phase. So even if the fermentation was still pretty vigorous, if they were no longer reproducing so much, that you'd be okay raising the temp.
Yeah, and that's where the 67. We ferment all of our ales at 67 to begin with, and then we raise the temperature. If you started this beer at 70, you're going to get a lot more of those esters. And
in San Francisco, it rarely gets above 67. How are you heating up these fermenters?
The yeast.
Just
the yeast, yeah, it rips. And that's another reason why we will err on doing a raise earlier. Yeah. Because if we do it too late, then the yeast is not going to be vigorous enough to raise itself.
Turn off the glycol, it gets colder.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yep.
You wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. How long does a beer like this take to ferment out for you guys?
Double Dad still only takes about 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
Depending on the fermentation, but we can still kick this one around in 2.5 weeks, even though it's a lot higher gravity.
Is this one in cans now too?
It is not currently in cans. Actually, it used to be in cans.
It did. Okay.
Yeah. So, Double Dad is one that I would love to get out there more. I'd love to put it in cans, but right now, as we're growing and getting back into markets, it's just not a top priority.
Yeah.
So you'll find it on draft and that sort of thing, but otherwise you got to come down to the brewery. And
All right, another reason to go.
Do that. Okay. And then last but not least, we've got Old Godfather here. Tell us about this beer. It's a barley wine, right?
It is a barley wine. Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, we're not killing all the old beers from Speakeasy.
No, and you should.
The original.
Yeah.
Old Godfather is a great beer. Barley wine's not I wouldn't call it a hip category, but
it'll come back.
And it's one that people really still like. The people who like barley wines like barley wines.
Yeah, it's true. And with all the barrel age craze and everything too, the barley wines are going to end up being whales again. Also, you got to have that year barley wine, and but yeah, you're right. People who like them, and kind of even just people who have been around craft beer for a while like them.
Absolutely. Barley wines, it's such a versatile style, too, because we throw this in barrels,
Okay.
We do barrel-aged barley wine. We use it in some of our other blended ales, Syndicate 4, the Syndicate series in general. We'll use some Godfather in that, too. So it's sort of it's not just barley wine to us. It's a great sort of all-around, we can kind of do a lot with it. and it lends its talents very well.
How long do you guys hold on to this beer, right, from brew date to packaging?
This beer takes a little while. This beer, we haven't made one in a long time, but it takes, we try to schedule it so we get some really good ripping yeast, because it'll take a little bit to go. But this beer will take, anywhere from 4 to 5, 6 weeks.
Okay.
Just to finish it
Just
out.
in the fermenter?
Just in the fermenter, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How old is the one that's in our glass, do you think?
This one's probably a year old.
A year old, okay. And do you allow it to hit the market pretty quick after packaging, or do you guys hold on to them too?
Obviously, we'd like to hit it. I like fresh beer. I wanted to hit the market, but as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But the good thing about barley wines is, they will mellow out and they'll get better, and they're not going to go. They don't. The freshness is not the most priority with those, as opposed to like the IPAs and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, this is what format? Is this keg only, the barley wine?
Currently, this is keg, and then we do have some bombers at the brewery. So if you come into the brewery, you can get
a bomber.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This has everything I like about a barley wine.
Good.
I think the age is just right on it, because we talk about Bigfoot on here as like one of the examples, but when it comes out, it's just like a triple IPA, So I don't know how this was maybe a year ago, but I like that the hop bitterness it's mellowed. It is not gone, but it has mellowed. And then I like the raisin. Even a little bit of like grapefruit, but it has all of those kind of celery barley wine, not the vegetable, like being in a cellar barley wine flavors that I like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little caramel. Raisin.
Oh yeah.
It's got a long boil character. I sense you boiled this beer a long time.
This beer is 90 minutes.
90 minutes.
Nothing too crazy.
I know it's not too crazy.
It depends on how we got in our mash, but.
Well, what's the malt bill? I understand that there's some dark malts, or a lot of crystal, probably like a higher crystal.
Yeah, so a lot of Munich. Vienna, some of the base malts, and then C40, and I believe C60.
Okay.
Yep. So nothing really too dark, but just really malt forward, which then translates into, after it ferments and that kind of stuff, will translate into this kind of raisiny, good
melanoid
base. Melanoid, good base for flavors. So
to me, a really great barley wine like this one actually tastes both fresh and old at the same time. So it doesn't have any of the bad qualities of being old, like oxidation. By the way, I've had some barley wines that I kind of enjoyed, like some J.W. Lee's and shit. They were clearly like oxidized, but I still enjoyed the other flavors. A good barley wine has all those other flavors like this, but still tastes fresh, I think.
Yeah.
I think you've done that.
Good. Yeah, we really like it. Although I would like to say, I've had some like 6-year-old barley wines that had a little oxidation in there, and I feel like it reaches a weird point where it then becomes kind of a cool flavor.
I agree.
Maybe like 4 years was too long, and then 6 years is like
it's somehow
too long in a good way.
It corrected itself. I think to this day the best barley wine experience I ever had was my first experience with barley wine, and we had already started the show here, but I had just never. You know what? It was during the first SF Beer Week, as a matter of fact, because we had started just before that, and I went to the Tornado Barley Wine Fest, and somebody, probably Sully or somebody from the 21st Amendment, bought a bunch of those old barley wines. I don't even remember all the brands now, but I think like J.W. Lee was one of them, and a couple others. And anyway, some of them were just like that, where you were like, okay, there's something happened here, but it also came back. It's really good.
The one for me was Anchor's Old Foghorn.
Okay.
That one, fresh, it's kind of, it's good, it's great, it's a classic beer, but give it like 6 years, it gets like a weird soy in a good way, which is absurd thing for a brewer to say out loud. Which I just did. But
don't worry, I'll cut it out.
But it just depends on the beer, and it depends on what you're into, and it goes to show, and especially the format, depending on how the beer ages, whether it's in a bottle or a can or a keg, it makes a difference in that, and it's that oxygen that comes in. Yeah. Sometimes it's really bad, and that's typically the case.
Okay.
But sometimes it, give it another couple of years, and or maybe a couple of years too soon.
Right.
Flavors come in, they drop out.
Yeah.
and it's always a combination of flavors. It's like a food, right?
Yeah.
There could be this soy character, there could be this really interesting melanoid character that's hanging on that offsets it, if not complements.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's a good point you make about all of the, just how you age it, and then the packaging. Because, like you said, if it's in a keg, if a retailer like me could just hide away some kegs, that's the best way, right? Like a lot of times, that's going to age the best.
Yeah, definitely.
As someone who is not the hugest fan of barley wine and doesn't do repetitive vertical tastings, are those flavors something that breweries that do this all the time can predict? To where, like, okay, we've got it figured out to where this one year it worked really well. So if we keep doing that, we'll also get those same flavors? Or is it somewhat on the brewing process and just also somewhat luck?
Right.
I think a little bit of both. I mean, what I would say is what I try to do is not try to brew to make that happen, but just know what's going to happen. And so taking really good notes on what your library beers are, tasting them vertically, like you said, every 6 months, having a library and a hot library and a QC program that really
and a cold library,
and a
so
cold
you can
library,
freeze
absolutely.
them whether it tasted like 3 months ago compared to what has changed.
Right, exactly. That way you might not be able to predict what they're going to do, but you can tell what they did and then try to go with that information.
Yeah. Okay. More information.
Yeah.
Well, I'm loving all these beers. Thanks for reviving some of them and keeping some of them going. And then it sounds like we have some new styles and new things to look forward to also.
Definitely. And I mentioned the dark lager, which is still a work in process. Wait for that for the fall. But this spring, we're coming out with a Saison. So, Belgian styles are something that Speakeasy hasn't done in the past.
Excellent.
And so, we're going to have a spring seasonal Safe House Saison.
Beautiful.
And it's going to be a nice, basic, earthy, spicy, Belgian farmhouse ale.
Did you guys get the invite? I wonder if we even sent it. Are you pouring at my Spring Brews Festival? Bevo, they are pouring? We're all good? We're set?
I actually just confirmed that today with the rep.
Very, very cool. Oh, I'm excited about that. Great.
Come on over. Join us.
Oh, I will.
And I don't think we've had you, at least not for quite a few years. So this is exciting to have you guys back at the festival.
Good place to be, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one who hasn't had us for a couple of years.
Right. This is cool. Clay. Yeah, Clay, thanks so much for coming out to the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for bringing great beer. You can still come down to the Hop Grenade and try it. It'll probably, some of it will be on for a couple of days. Some of it we got some small kegs of because it's so good. So you're going to want to get down here soon. But coming out, we've got a good 5 beers. In fact, all the beers that you heard us talk about on tonight's program are on tap here at the Hop Grenade in Concord. Otherwise, you can go out to the Speakeasy Tap House.
Yep, absolutely. Hunters Point, 1195 Evans in San Francisco.
There we go. And you can also go to goodbeer.com. It's just goodbeer.com?
Goodbeer.com.
I still can't believe it. I'm looking at it, but I still can't believe that that's what it is. All right. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
If you want to brew great beer like Speakeasy is doing, go to beersmith.com and download your free sample of the Beersmith brewing software. You get a free 21-day trial. You know what I'm talking about. You've heard me talk about it for a while. But just go check it out. Works on a Mac and a PC. If you haven't done it already, you should. Plus, you don't even have to take my word for it because you get it's free. It's free for 21 days. And if you don't brew in 21 days, you're a bad home brewer like me anyway. So go over to beersmith.com and check it out. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got a couple other things to do. I'm probably going to have another Speakeasy beer myself. And, I don't know. Maybe we'll make fun of Beardy or something. Hang in there. It's The Session, and we'll be right back.
Listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Check out their brand new patent-pending mash and boil 110-volt electric mashing and boiling unit. This compact all-stainless unit lets you mash, sparge, and boil just about anywhere that has a 110-volt plug. Double-wall construction adds to efficiency and safety, and a precise thermostat keeps temperatures where you want them. Unlike insulated buckets and converted coolers, multiple temperature rest mashing is easy to do, all for under $300. They also feature the Mark II work pump, a magnetic drive high-temperature pump that does the work of pumps that cost twice as much, as well as exclusive Brewer's Edge regulators and quality Keg King kegs and disconnects. Check them out today at williamsbrewing.com to brews their vast selection.
With over 20 years of experience making world-class craft beer and more than 100 gold medals in international competitions, Moylan's Brewing Company is not just a pretty face in craft beer. Just ask Brendan Moylan.
What do we got here? The beer of the hour. Moylan's, gotta love that big M. It's like a sign of awesomeness. Woo-hoo! It's got an extra kick to it. Let's pour this bad boy. Oh, easy. Oh, yeah. Oh, Moylan's. The end of the night when the kids are finally in bed, the wife's in bed, nobody's bothering your ass anymore. That's Moylan's time. Moylan's is for you. Yeah. It's to help you out. Yeah. It helps me out.
What?
Well, because it's freaking awesome. Northern California brewed. It's brewed with love. With love? Oh, yeah. Tremendous. And it's always best where?
Moylan's.
You gotta try it on tap at Moylan's in Novato. They're friggin' awesome. Not only because I own the brewery, because I love the beer.
Cheers!
Boom.
Kilt Lifter Scotch Ale takes big beers to a whole new level with rich malt balanced perfectly with delicate hops, and now comes in 4-pack tall boy cans so you can take the party on the go. Or come to the brewery, take a tour, and try any of Moylan's fresh creations right from the source. Check them out at moylans.com.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamel Zanishev, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com. If you work in retail sales, the restaurant industry, or are a new craft beer enthusiast, or you know someone who is, you have got to check out Beer 101. Beer 101 is an online course created for anyone wanting a quick introduction to the vast world of craft beer. Beer 101 covers the history of beer, brewing ingredients and processes, vital stats like ABV, SRM, IBU, and gravity, styles, tasting, glassware, and pairing beer with food. The Beer 101 course is offered by the Brewers Association at craftbeer.com. Also home to the truly awesome Beer Style Finder, a visual guide to every beer style. Quickly play with color, bitterness, and alcohol content to interactively explore the entire world of beer styles with a gorgeously designed interface to your favorite beverage. The new Beer 101 course and new Beer Style Finder are only available at craftbeer.com. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer.
Brewcasters are back. 888-401 beer.
Whatever.
Neshaminy Creek Brewing has been on the Philly beer map since 2012, and they've taken home 4 Philly Beer Scene Magazine awards. They're killing it over there. 2-time GABF Vienna-style lager medal winner. Also one for their smoke lager. They've got a large, expanded, and recently renovated tap room with 24 beers on tap. 18 of them are rotating, seasonal, or limited. So they really have a lot going on over there. A variety of beer styles from hoppy double IPAs to sessionable and poundable lagers to oak-fermented saisons and sour beers. They have it all with free brewery tours on Saturdays. Check them out at NeshemineyCreekBrewing.com. All right. And then, of course, we also want to thank Speakeasy Ales and Lagers for being on the show and sharing with us some great beer. What do you guys think? I really hadn't had Speakeasy beers in a while, and all of those impressed me.
I've definitely never done a flight.
Right?
Yeah. And I do get the similarities with the old, which is great. I think he plays goal, and he's done well.
Yeah.
And Kristen, we all appreciated what he's done new with the
Double Daddy. I loved that beer. I thought that was a great...
It's really more typical West Coast double IPA.
And then I'm still drinking the old Godfather, the barley wine, which I meant it when I said it. This has the best qualities of a barley wine.
I love
that.
I
really like.
In that beer.
Fresh and old.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like a cloyingly sweet barley wine. It's nice. It's just, the malt tastes great. You look for the malt. You don't push it away.
To me, it was a lot more. More English style than Bigfoot and the easier barley wines to find out here
because of the malt character.
And it also isn't a heavily bitter beer,
right?
Like you can get in the younger Bigfoot, even as old as a couple year Bigfoot. Is more bitter than this beer was.
Well, and even the Prohibition and the Big Daddy, which of course, he had said they were certainly designed as like West Coast styles. Mm-hmm. And I think that was very, very true in 96, 97.
Oh, right.
Now they're kind of straddling the fence, I think, between what a West Coast and an East Coast might taste like. Because they definitely, and Clay said they're malt forward in that sense. Mm-hmm. But not completely East Coast. They weren't sweet, so they still East Coast, West Coast.
Oh, yeah. And I enjoy having an IPA that has a little bit of malt backbone, not sweetness.
Right.
But exactly in this vein of IPA.
Yeah, just something to it.
Yeah, that raisin character. Yeah, like a nice malt character, but not being sweet.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to wrap things up, actually. If you're looking for something to do with your time and your significant other's time...
Yeah. If you're not going to bed right away.
Go to AdamandEve.com. They're determined to help you spice things up in the bedroom and backing up that promise because if you go to AdamandEve.com, you get 50% off almost any item when you enter coupon code BNARMY at checkout. And that's not all because they're bringing back the free Big O kit. Adam and Eve's Big O kit includes their exclusive Climax gel and a mini vibrator. So now you've got
sounds good.
You got a new way to do things in the bedroom, and who doesn't like that? You'll also get your entire order sent to you for free. So take advantage of this limited time offer. Go to AdamandEve.com. Choose a new adult toy, a naughty movie, or almost anything else. When you choose that item at 50% off, you're going to get free shipping plus the Big O kit. Everything you need to have a good time. Go to AdamandEve.com and use coupon code BNARMY, BNARMY.
Have you thought about having John at the Beer Law Center offer a licensing agreement to Adam and Eve for the hop grenade?
Oh, like a hop grenade dildo?
Or a little mini vibrator for the Big O kit?
I see. No, I haven't. That's a good idea. I'm too busy fighting with everybody else for just, taking it.
Instead of being a no guy, he could be a yes guy.
I know. He'd probably be happy about that.
All this defending it, you got to take more advantage of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, let's cash in here.
Exactly.
This is an RV.
Can you imagine? I would write on the RV, bought with dildos.
Powered by dildos.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to actually include
powered by dildos.
An image of the hop grenade dildo on the side of the RV.
Make that the hood ornament.
Oh, yes.
Or the antenna, styrofoam bumper thing.
Yeah, they don't really have hoods, so it depends on which one I get. But yeah, it could be the antenna.
Hey, wait, let's get a PowerPoint presentation. We'll all head to Edgeville. We'll tour the factory, and we'll give a presentation on this RV.
This is a great idea.
The dildo thing, and the whole Adam and Eve. Sponsored?
I don't see why not.
Come on.
I could do this.
Huh? You could have products and stuff.
I do want to drive all the way to Asheville.
Throw butt plugs to the crowd.
Yeah.
Great.
I'd like to think that would be like redefining ourselves, but no, it's pretty much what we've always been.
Fulfilling the dream.
Yeah, we're really just now doing it.
Well, they'd have to pay a lot for that much publicity. Just give them a little bit.
I agree. Well, maybe I'll talk to him. All right. So we're off next week, but We're back with a bang the week after because we've got Russian River back on the show. We're also doing a Russian River night here at the Hop Grenade where we're going to get a ton of Russian River beer on tap.
People from a distance are being pain here.
Yeah, you guys have fun.
The owners and their beers all on tap.
I know. Well, I'm giving you 2 weeks' notice here. By the way, if you pay attention to our website, it's been on there for a while. Bevo keeps the schedule up to date. But I'm giving you 2 weeks' notice. You should come from far and wide.
Schedule your
because Vinny and Natalie, they do like to hang out. They're very nice people, and they're going to bring us a ton of Russian River beer. It's going to be a full tap takeover, I think.
Nice.
Wow. I might even let Sam come.
Yeah, I definitely won't be driving home that night. I might just sleep here at the desk. It's going to be a good time. So that's happening in 2 weeks. It's on March 26th. And then, like I mentioned, too, at the beginning of the show, our beer festival, the Brewing Network's 9th annual Spring Brews Fest, is on Saturday, March 31st. So get your tickets at thebrewingnetwork.com. You'll see it right there. Yeah. And come hang out with us.
Hang out with Tasty's Tasting Room. I didn't tell you. I should have said this in it earlier. First talked about it. I brewed 2 beers this weekend. I brewed Friday and Sunday.
Oh, cool.
Friday I brewed Janus Brown Ale.
Nice.
And on Sunday I brewed my Blind Pig Club.
Okay.
And if everything goes well, you know how ferments are. They have their ways.
Yeah.
I'm going to pour them both at Tasty's Tasting Room.
2 of your most famous brews.
Oh, not famous, but 2. Yeah, well, the Janus Brown.
People love it.
Shit, that's famous. That's crazy.
You put Blind Pig on the map, I heard.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that.
I hope they come out well. I'll tell you, Tasty, I haven't had a taste of a Janus Brown in a couple years, and I love that beer.
Well, Vinny through construction and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to make it this year at the pub. So.
Oh, right. Oh, that's right. You used to make it there every year.
So if things work out well, I might have a sample for him to have of my beer.
Perfect.
When he's here on the 26th.
All right.
Nice.
Well, come hang out with us. It's from noon to 4. We got live music. We got a lot of food. And we'll probably have just about 60 breweries, it's looking like.
Oh, nice. These are all the cream of the cream of the local and out of state, out of Southern California, too.
Yeah.
And they bring their best beers, too. That's like double good.
It's, you know what, it's part of our rules, and it's part of why they come to this festival. They like it because they each bring 2 beers, and they bring their best. They like to share it. It's all the brewers hanging out with each other,
well, they see their peers like pouring beers, too. They want to have a longer line.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys know I'm pouring, right?
Yeah, which is why, I gave you the spot that needed the least long line. Like there's a fence right in front of you. So
right by the exit.
There's a river.
Yeah. We also, if you're a super fan, we do have VIP tickets available, and those VIP tickets are actually just to the Hop Grenade. We do an hour-and-a-half pre-party here at the Hop Grenade that has food. It's brought to you by Whole Foods Market, and they bring in charcuterie and cheese and salad, so you get some food in the beginning.
Nice fatting, yeah.
Yeah. Plus, we make a stellar tap list where we save up beers all year long and just curate a really great list right here at the Hop Grenade. So if you want tickets to that, go to thehopgrenade.com.
And it helps you get into the fest, right?
Yeah, you get not necessarily early entry, but you get easy entry because you get your wristband and your glass all here at the Hop Grenade, and you don't have to wait in line. You just walk right into the fest, which is across the street. It's a good 20 steps, and then you're at your first brewery.
Yeah,
already 25
if it's not in a straight line.
Yeah, and then you know what we do my staff here is real smart. They started doing this I think 2 years ago. This will be their 4th Spring Brews being open. Poor bastards. It's so busy here. We kind of have a session beer festival after the festival.
Oh,
Did you ever notice that?
No, I haven't. Well, yeah.
Everyone has a good time at the festival for 4 hours, and then they come over here, and my staff decided, why don't we put on some great session beers?
Every tap session.
Every tap.
You
That's
can't
right.
get a strong beer.
That's right. It's by design where we're trying, we're safety.
The clientele coming in, right?
It's safety, yeah.
It's like water or you're out of here, you can't serve you, you're overserved.
Right. So we put on session beers, but also they curate this great list. It's turned into its own little session festival after the Spring Brews Festival.
Smart.
So it's a big day on March 31st, and come hang out with us. I wish you would. It's all for a good cause, and it helps the local youth music program and the summer music program right here in the park. So other than that, I don't know what's coming up, man. Tasty and I are going. Actually, so's Beardy. We're all going to the Craft Brewers Conference coming up soon.
Yeah.
That's at the very end of April, early May.
Yeah. Early May, yeah.
We got that coming up. We've got some events happening at the Hop Grenade in Fort Collins. You can go there, hopgrenade.com, and check it out. So keep an eye on the calendar.
Yeah. I'm going to be up in Portland the last week of March, roaming around. So if you want to grab a beer or something, maybe I'll be roaming downtown Portland.
I hear there's donuts there.
Voodoo Donuts.
Voodoo Donuts thing.
If I need an Oreo on my donut.
Yeah.
Portland. Well, of course, we'll all be in Portland.
Everybody does.
In
and then back out in June, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be in Paris in May, mid-May, if you want to hit me up there.
Yeah, Jamil's there right now.
Yeah. In Paris?
Yeah, I went to Heretic the other day.
He was just in Sweden, okay.
Yeah, well, I think he's doing both on the same trip. I went to Heretic the other day to drop off some kegs, and I was asking for Jamil, and they said he's in Paris. And it reminded me, our friend Yan was doing a Heretic launch party with Jamil at Outland Brewery in Paris.
Nice. Oh, well, he's also they've had a Mondo Brewing in London.
Okay.
That's a joint Outland Brewing.
Oh, that's right.
And Heretic.
And Heretic.
But he's also making a special one in Paris.
Cool. I think that might all be happening, on the same deal.
Yeah.
He was trying to get me to go out there for it, but no, I just can't do that. I want to go for yours too, Tasty, but I just don't think I can do that either. I might end up out there in June for Paris Beer Week, but even that.
Well, if we do a collab, you'll be able to taste the beer.
That would be cool. Yeah. See, and you won't, or at least not fresh anyway. They'll have to ship it to you, right? But
collaborations are. I mean, even if it was local, it may not be, whatever.
Now, let me tell you, you're going to like the bartenders at Outland.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, say hello to Minot for me.
Say it again, Minot?
Minot. Just Minot.
I'll know her when I see her.
Yeah.
This just got so weird.
She's a lovely woman. They're all just actually super cool. I spent so many nights there just shutting the bar down with them. Sure. And they're so cool because they do a lot of great cheese and charcuterie. I mean, it's France, right? And so as other people are buying the cheese and charcuterie plates, I'm just sitting at the bar. And every time they're cutting somebody else's plate, they're just throwing smaller plates of it in front of me. They're like, oh, here's a little extra for you, a little more cheese, they're so nice. You're going to love them, Tasty.
Great.
They're very cool people. Excellent. But tell her I said hello.
Okay.
Is that at the brewery or their separate bar?
Well, it's at the separate bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing good at the brewery.
Brewery's a place to make beer.
Yeah, no, they have the brewery and then they have Outland Bar, which instead of doing a tasting room, it's actually a full bar, and it's cool. It's a good spot.
And, the number one selling beer is Tasty.
Tasty, that's right. They're... is it a session pale ale?
Session pale ale, yeah.
Session pale ale, yeah. And by the way, it is my favorite beer they make by far. Really? They make a few good beers, but that one is just something else, Tasty. You helped them nail it.
That beer became a permanent handle?
Yeah.
It's their
10 bottles. Too, yeah.
It's their flagship beer.
Oh wow!
Outland's flagship beer is Tasty, and part of that is
bottles have my little character on the label.
Yeah. Nice. Well, Yan, knew Tasty long before he was a brewer. He was a teacher. He was a friend of mine, and he'd come out here and he'd hang out with you. And then he got into brewing, and he would spend a lot of time talking to Tasty about beer.
Email, yeah.
And he spent years planning his brewery. This guy, I mean, really years. In fact, they're so French. Like French are lazy. They just take. You think I'm lazy? This guy. They just take a lot of time. Everything's very thought out. That whole time he just kept talking to Tasty. Finally opens the thing up and said, "Can I brew a Tasty beer?" And you helped him out.
Yeah, looking back at the time, I thought like, sure, at the time I was making session beers.
Yeah.
Here's a recipe that I really like and been well received and all that kind of thing. And he gave it to him, and it was like a session beer, but it was like maybe like 4.9%. He made it even lighter.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't realize that it was like his first beer. It's like he was like, and because he said like, I need something that'll appeal to the people in Paris that have never had a hoppy beer.
He wanted it to be American style,
but
West Coast.
Yeah. So I thought, well, the session beer would be perfect. So anyway, it stuck.
I think it is, if not it is one of the best beers produced in France. And there's not a ton of craft breweries in France, so I think I've tried almost all of them, and it's still, it's number one or two. I can't think of what it would be if it's not that one.
No, I was in. When I was in Ireland, he was doing a collab beer at a brewery in Northern Ireland, and
Yeah.
I went up there and got to go up there and meet him, and he had a bottle of this beer, and I have never really had it like that fresh, right?
Yeah.
And so we shared it together. Oh my God, it was so like I was like, oh my God, this is really fucking good.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I was like, I couldn't find any flaws with the beer. It tasted great.
Yeah.
So have either of you seen his business plan? Was this a part of his plan the whole time? So
no.
He opens it year one, gets Tasty to make him his flagship.
No, that's just random shit.
Well, I'll tell you what was his plan. His whole plan actually was he's big on community and how things start, and so in all seriousness, his plan was through meeting me, he got into beer and then slowly got in the beer scene, then met all these other people, then traveled the U.S. And so every part of that he wanted to bring back and incorporate into the brewery. So the brewery's theme, if it had one, is influence. It's people collaborating and getting together. Most times, whether they know it or not, because half the time people didn't know that Yan was like gleaning this great life experience out of this and wanted to turn it. So they have.
John's getting the yin and the yang. I get it. He's like it's a spiritual thing.
So they have a beer called America, I think. They have a beer called Home. They have this tasty beer, and a lot of their beers are reflective of they're all homage to where he feels he's come from.
His American journey.
Yeah. Yeah, and now some of it his French journey too. It started with just because we were the ones who influenced him, and now it's evolving into that. But he's all about paying homage. He's a terrible business person. He lets some clothing company. It's a friend, wanted to use his brand Outland, and he's like, yeah, go ahead, I get all the free clothes or something. And I was like, Yan, you gotta license that deal, man. Nah, I don't know. With French, it's what we do. So yeah,
nice.
But the tasty, you're going to enjoy it.
Well, thanks. I'm looking forward to it.
The Outland Bar.
up.
So the people who partnered with him on the Outland Bar, there's two bars. They have another one. I always say it wrong, but it's La Trois-Huit, which is 3-8. But La Trois-Huit.
I call it La Trois-Huit or something.
Yeah.
That's right, I read it.
That one's more like punk bar, kind of divey, a little Toronado-ish, kind of cool. Very cool, actually. Has stickers everywhere, right? Well, the new one, also very cool, but a little cleaner. Doesn't have stickers everywhere. Doesn't have my sticker.
Huh.
Has a fucking tasty
mine, though, right?
sticker up in the corner. Yeah, you look up at the bar and you're like, oh, the one sticker that's there
That funded the bar.
He sent me a picture of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, what are the dates for that? In case any of our
I'll be there the
European
14th to the 20th.
Of May. 14th to the 20th of May. If you want to go see Tasty in Paris, go to Outland Bar. I'm sure he'll post on social media, and we'll do it. We'll do the same. I think Yan's going to come on the show soon and talk about all the different things that are happening. So
I feel like he was just on it.
We'll get into that too. Yeah, cover everything we just did, basically. All right. Well, I think I'm done. We don't have any Twitter game to wrap up or anything else. So let's get out of here. Congratulations to JP and family on little Alice.
Way to kill it, guys.
Yeah. We wish you well, and we hope to see you soon.
Can't wait.
That's all I got. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
Out.
JP's an asshole. Sometimes he's real funny. We laugh at his wit. The young just wishes he could brew worth a shit. JP's an asshole. Justin's a nice guy and winning the race. JP does great as his cherry.